It's mini time once again at the Single Malt Review. We brought along, Dave.
Well, we have a Grant's blend here. This is Monkey Shoulder.
One of the most, I suppose, I'd say the most ubiquitous blended malt. Now that Famous Grouse no longer produces what I really thought were rather good blended malts, this is sort of the most available one around. So hopefully it's a good one, because it's the only one that we can reliably go out and grab. Blended malt's not being particularly common these days.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the more premium blends, I'd say.
So, Monkey Shoulder. What have we got in this one? It is a Glenfiddich product at heart, which sort of narrows down what's probably in it, which is a blend of nothing but single malt whiskies. The blended malt signifies. And some of those whiskies are very easy to guess. One of them, astonishingly easy to guess, because it's Glenfiddich itself. The other one, Balvenie, and then the other one I had to look up because I didn't even know they held a third single malt distillery, but they do, and it's Kinninvie. So that's the third facet there. In what proportions, we have absolutely no idea, and I'll bet no one really does, except for the person who puts it together. So,
with no age statement, 40% ABV, and quite likely artificially coloured. It is.
That's astonishingly likely there, and chill filtered, so pretty basic in terms of its presentation. However, not entirely unusual for Glenfiddich itself. Fiercely traditional still in refusing to budge on the 40% no chill filtered thing. Alas, I'll get them one day. But for now,
apparently Monkey Shoulder is the old name for a type of repetitive strain injury you used to occasionally get among the men who worked turning the malt in the malting houses. Thankfully not something to worry about so much these days.
No, the machine's not as susceptible to that one. So, on the nose, what have we got?
Oh, that is
pretty nice.
Lovely. That's a lot of heather, a lot of honey.
That's real juicy. I haven't tried this for years, and my memory of it as being not particularly impressed with it. I thought it was quite lean and boring. But
I have an inkling it may have been amongst the samples in the Drinks by the Dram advent calendar we did a couple of years ago. However, I don't recall precisely, and that's a lot of videos to wade through.
But this is a way more promising nose. You can even nose the Balvenie and the Glenfiddich coming out of here. Kinninvie, I would have no idea, but it really is quite unmistakably that sort of whiskey. There's a clarity to it and a really nice Speyside fruitiness going on.
There's a certain sandpapery roughness behind all that, which I think is possibly an indication of some of the younger spirit, which is likely in here.
But yeah, we've got super Speyside-y, really juicy white fruits, honey, heather, pretty classic, actually. So far, so good. Let's see what's on the palate.
Well, it's a little thin and slightly watery at first, but it does open up into peaches, nectarines, spices.
That's still not bad at all.
Yeah.
There's another surprising thing here, and that's a pretty significant bit of sherry maturation going on. It's pretty reminiscent of, not necessarily the maturity of, but certainly the flavours that you get from Glenfiddich 15-year-old, nay 18-year-olds, where it really starts to pile on the sherry maturation, so that's really good to see.
Yeah. It's not a hugely deep and endlessly layered flavour, but then that's not what we're expecting either, too. It's not unnecessarily rough and hot from young spirit.
Yeah.
It's quite despite that initial roughness I detected on the nose, there's less of that present on the tongue. It tastes like it's a well-balanced blend of older and younger whiskies.
I think the nose, really good on the nose.
Yeah.
I don't think it quite follows through on the palate. I think it's just that much harder to hide the fact that there is, really young whiskey in here. This is probably hovering around 8 years old. They'll be older, they'll be younger. But I'd say, were it any older than that, they'd probably just whack a number on it. But yeah, this is a pleasantly surprising. I was ready to go, this is making me fall asleep. But no, they've either reformulated, which if there was ever a whiskey right for reformulation, it would be this one, because there's about 1 million things you could change. And because it's intrinsically sort of batchy, I don't think anyone would grumble too much if it changed a little bit year to year, whereas, if you go and if the blender goes and breaks Shivers Regal or Johnny Walker Red Label, then oh dear, at that point that would be called inconsistency. But for something that's a little craftier here, I think a bit of evolution year to year, batch to batch is allowed. I think the craftier drinkers will acknowledge that's how things go, and in fact makes it a bit more interesting as well, because I don't really want to drink the same thing forever, as long as it continues to improve.
Speaking of interesting, I've added just a smidge of water, not much because it's only a 40%er. However, that has not improved matters. The nose has gone a bit dank and canned and mushroomy, and so has the palate. Things have really composted slightly.
That's interesting. I guess it was teetering right on the edge, because you expect putting water in. We would normally find that really brings the fruit to life and freshens it up. But if it was already kind of teetering on the cliff there,
let's put up the tin opener and open up the tinned peas and tinned peaches, and just let some of that mushy.
Yeah, I agree. That hasn't done any favours. Which is raises a second problem, in that would make it a bit vulnerable to an ice cube as well. Which I thought, as the day sort of gets brighter and brighter around us, we're heading into our southern hemisphere summer here. So it sucks for all you people plunging into winter up there, but no, we get our summer finally, and that's when I really like a good crisp Speyside single malt, or blended malt in this case, with a bit of ice, but I don't think it would really hold up.
Those bright fruity characters that we encountered at first would be perfect with ice. However, this whiskey would not be perfect with ice, because it would, as we say, dankify.
But never mind. I am still very pleased with what I've tasted.
Oh yeah.
And granted, we haven't tasted a great mini blended malt, so we're far from the experts there. But I would very, very happily give this one an 84. I think it's a cracking dram for what it is.
And it's around 80 from me.
Yeah.
It is very tasty on its own. It doesn't take water well, but it doesn't need water, because 40% is a good strength for drinking straight out of a bottle. It smells good, tastes good, it's got a good pedigree, and it's a pure malt. So there's that.
And as far as I know, this won't run you a whole lot of money either. It's not cheap, but it's it must be cheaper than, say, Glenfiddich 12-year-old. I mean, they couldn't possibly make it more expensive than an age-stated whiskey. I don't think the difference is huge, though. I think it is still fairly premiumly presented, but you'll save a few dollars, and I think I guess that will be a useful comparison to make. Comparing this to Glenfiddich 12, it's not far behind. You could certainly substitute one for the other if there was a significant cost saving. And this one does actually bring you quite a bit more sherry maturation flavours than the Glenfiddich 12 will do, because that's got practically none. So there you go, there's a qualitative comparison for you there, if that's of any use. So, I think it's a good warm-up for the buds here. We'll move on to a proper single coming up next. So stick around, we will be right back. Slanja.